So YouTube has responded to the view backlash that they've gotten. If you guys didn't know, they changed their view counts now to where right when you click on a video and it starts playing, that actually counts as a view starting August 24th. A YouTube employee, Rene Ritchie, reached out to me, and it led to one of the most confusing conversations I've ever had about YouTube. I am honestly even more confused about the update now than I was before. For those of you guys that don't know, Rene Ritchie is a YouTube employee, and he was actually clearing up some misconceptions that people had about the YouTube view count update. This has taken the whole world by storm. Everybody's talking about this right now, especially on YouTube. Tons of YouTubers have made a video about it. Critical made his video about it as well, giving them a scathing review of the update, saying it's his second least favorite update, the first one being the dislike update. So that just goes to show how much these YouTubers don't like it. I don't like the update either. But essentially, without further ado, Rene was clearing up some misconceptions, saying it hasn't been 30 seconds to count as a view on YouTube. That wouldn't make any sense to anyone who's looked at retention graphs. Clicking on a thumbnail already counted as a view. What he's referring to is the fact that apparently what we all thought to be how YouTube views counted, and this is what I've thought for years, it seems like a lot of other YouTubers thought this as well. We used to all believe and think that when you click on a long form video, for example, you find this like bad YouTuber over here named Deep Humor and you click on one of the videos, right? You would actually have to watch the video for at least 30 seconds for it to count as a view. And so that's what makes it weird. Apparently that has never been the case. Apparently, according to Rene Ritchie, it has always been to just click a thumbnail that counts as a view. So the second you click on anyone's thumbnail on a video, according to Rene Ritchie, that is a view. I am beyond confused right now. I have no idea what's going on now. From what I understand, that's how YouTube used to work back like before 2012 or something like that, right? I've always known it to be the whole 30-second rule, but he is now saying that that is a myth. So what I'm confused about now is what changed then, right? Because it sounds like they didn't change anything then. So before we get to what he was saying to me, somebody replied and said, this doesn't exactly clarify what changed. Would be helpful if you broken down, perhaps at length, what previously counted as a view and how this first frame view is different. So he clarified and says, autoplay used to take some amount of seconds to count as a view. Now it will count from the first frame, and the previous some amount of seconds to count will be called engaged views. I am so confused right now, right? So basically what he's saying is right when you click on a thumbnail, that counts as a view. That's apparently how it's always been. Well, then why in your guys' statement did you guys say starting 824 views will count the moment a video begins to play with no minimum watch time, right? Just by stating this, it implies that views previously counted only if there was a minimum watch time reach. But he himself just said, apparently a view counts right when you click on a thumbnail. Maybe I'm misunderstanding here. I mean, I'm definitely not the sharpest tool in the shed. One time it took me 10 minutes to tie my shoes and I was wearing sandals. So maybe this is just something on me. Throughout our conversation, because I quote tweeted this and, made my thoughts clear about it, I got even more confused from his replies, right? And like I said, Rene seems like a nice guy and all. I could be having a misunderstanding here, but you guys let me know in the comments below after you read this conversation if I'm just dumb or maybe there's not good communication here. So I quote retweeted what he said and I said, clickbait will now be worse than ever because of this change. So he replied and said, hi, can you help me understand the concern there? And so, I could have given him a whole soliloquy. I could have wrote an entire book about all the problems I have with this update, but basically I try to keep it concise. I said, clickbaiters used to get less reward for deceiving people because viewers would immediately click away from the video, but as I understand it, now the second they click on a video and it plays, they get a view. Yes, their watch time metrics will still be lower, but now they'll get way more views overall by lying to people. There are tons of other issues I have with the update, but it would be too long to type. So he said, there's no change to how clicks work for what it's worth. The main disincentive for clickbait was and remains that if the video doesn't make good on the promise in the thumbnail, people abandon tanking retention, which isn't good for performance. And I replied with, but the clickbait videos still accumulate more views through the new view update, which is the problem. We used to have this thing called the dislike button that helped us detect clickbait, but unfortunately, you guys got rid of that. Again, I'm not trying to be snarky here or condescending or whatever. It just kind of makes me laugh whenever YouTube makes these decisions and they say, oh, we hear you or we heard your feedback and that's why we're making this decision. But the biggest piece of feedback that you guys have gotten in the last 5 years is bring back the dislike button, bring back dislikes. That's what people keep saying over and over again. And that was a great way for us to tell if a video was clickbait or not. So what I'm confused by, and like as that person asked that question, it just doesn't make any sense because I've always thought that's how views work, where you actually have to watch a video for a certain amount of seconds for it to count as a view. Maybe it's not the 30 seconds that we all previously thought it was, but that was something that everybody thought. Here's Critical talking about the 30-second rule in the video that he just made.
Even autoplay for a split second, like scroll to one autoplays, that counts as a view publicly. Now, they do mention that they still have engaged viewer metrics, which is kind of the old way of calculating it, where you need a viewer to stick around for, it was about like 30 seconds on long form content, which is like an actual view and something that's been standard on the platform for ages.
So it wasn't only me that thought that, but Rene himself is saying that that is a myth. He said the change is autoplay views are now counted from the first frame. So according to Rene, the only difference here is going to be is that when you used to autoplay a video, it would take a few amount of seconds to go ahead and like count that view. And now it's not going to take the few seconds to count that view. Now it'll just immediately count right when the first frame plays in the video, which again doesn't make any sense because that is not how they communicated this throughout their YouTube post and their tweet. Once again, when you go ahead and mention minimum watch time, when you say, oh, the views will count the moment a video begins to play with no minimum watch time, the implication is made that there used to be a minimum watch time required to get a view on the video. But that is directly contradicted from what Rene told me, where he said that there's no change to the way that clicks work for views. And in his post, he said that clicking on a thumbnail already counted as a view. I am like mind fucked right now. I gotta be honest right now. I promise you, even though I am stupid, I am not the only one confused about their wording here because again, they've made a few posts across different social medias and all of them mention that minimum watch time, right? Even in this post made by the YouTube creators page on YouTube, this updated standard will apply globally to long form VOD, shorts, and live streams with no minimum watch time. What I'm confused about is if that's how views always worked, if it always just worked where the second you click on a thumbnail, it counts as a view, why are you guys even mentioning watch time to begin with? It makes no sense, right? Another problem that I had that I mentioned in the video that I made, this video right over here, is the whole brand and sponsorship connection thing that they keep saying. So for example, when Team YouTube made their posts, they led over here and linked to this big Google post where it talks about all the benefits of this new change and how it's going to be super helpful. And one of the things that they mentioned is how it's actually going to help you with brands and sponsorships. We hope that having metric parity across all formats gives creators a clearer picture of their overall exposure and makes it easier to confidently express their true scale and value to brand partners and sponsors. But as I stated previously, that is not going to help YouTubers with brands at all. In fact, it might hurt it. This was a great point that Critical made in his video, but this will actually lead to a lot of botting on the platform. What YouTube is saying is correct, and the brands only care about the viewership numbers, and now YouTube is bolstering the viewership numbers, then everybody's going to start view botting their videos. They're going to start clickbaiting like crazy to get those sponsorships and those brand deals. And even then, the sponsorships and brand deals might not even care about the displayed views on YouTube anymore because now they know that it is just going to be counted the second you click on a video. So instead, they might just start asking you for your engaged view count, which is what the view count used to be prior to August 24th. So it doesn't help YouTube at all. In fact, it makes things way worse. Now, all it takes is for you to stick around for a single frame and all of a sudden you're racking up all these views. So technically, you could just go ahead and press F5, keep refreshing the page over and over again and rack up like 100 views in like, a few minutes or whatever. So it's just really crazy that YouTube is trying to advertise this as some sort of great change that's going to help us with brands and sponsorships, or, hey, we don't have a minimum watch time anymore. Again, I'm so confused about the parity between their post and what Rene is saying. I don't think Rene is like lying or anything. He's most likely telling the truth. But the thing that makes it weird is why do you guys not reflect what you're saying over here in the official post that you make where you announce these updates? Clickbait is going to be rewarded with this new system because now when you go ahead and click on a video and the frame plays immediately, they get that view by deceiving you with the title and thumbnail. We don't have dislikes anymore where you could see a video was flooded with dislikes, so if it was a tutorial, for example, the tutorial obviously didn't work. Now, before this awful change was made, you could actually just click away from the video, and from what I understand, they wouldn't get a view. But now Rene is saying, no, actually, that's not how it ever worked. Apparently, right when you click on a video, the video just gets a view anyways, which again, I'm just so baffled by. I never thought that's how it worked. At least not since before 2012 or something, like a long time ago. I know that's how YouTube views used to work because I used to click on my own videos that I used to make back in 2012 and try to get the view count higher. So again, according to Rene, the only thing that is actually changing here is that when a video gets autoplayed, the view counts immediately when the first frame plays. So yeah, the way he's explaining it, this isn't that much of a change at all. But again, it's still going to benefit clickbaiters because the view count is going to be higher overall. So it just leads to the view count essentially not really meaning anything. Again, I am just baffled by this conversation. You guys feel free to chime in. Again, if I'm just being dumb, you guys let me know if I'm just misunderstanding something here. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the situation in the comments. This is YouTube's official response to the view count update backlash. Please leave a like in the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. See ya.